Hi, everyone. Last year, I talked about how you can't copy and paste recipe. It can go really wrong. You should really own your dish. This year, I'm sort of thought, oh, let's stay in the kitchen. I can't cook, but let's stay in the kitchen. So key ingredients that don't come in the box. And what opening a restaurant can teach us about culture and teamwork. I do not work in a restaurant, by the way, but you'll get to the point. So, I hope some of you had experience, there is a recipe box, you order the box, it's brilliant, you get the recipe there, all the ingredients comes in, it's excitement, you put that in the fridge, you put that in the cupboards, you wait for the evening meal and you're like, ooh, it's gonna be good. And then you unpack everything, you start to cook. Not only every second step doesn't make sometimes sense because suddenly it just says, put your chopped potatoes in the bowl. And you're like, when did I have to chop them? Because you didn't tell me about it. Okay, that's not a big problem. But every second recipe mentions these key ingredients that just never made to the box. Oh, just put the pinch of salt and pepper, just a knob of butter, just a splash of milk, just something. And I always think, oh, if it's not in the box, it's fine, right? I can just go with it. 2 minutes later, your chicken is probably stuck to the pan. Your mashed potatoes look a bit like apple crumble. And in general, at the end, the dish does not have a kick. So one would say, oh, what happened there? Well, there were some key ingredients missing. So when people say, it's easy, let's just take a framework, install it into your organization, run with it because everything comes with it, everyone gets a bit surprised that in the end, we are still talking about Agile and how that doesn't work. Today is a theme, I think. So I'm going to take a look at the bear, the series. If you didn't watch, I'm really sorry, there will be a little bit of a spoiler alert, but spicy, juicy details are still good to watch, so please do so. They have a very strong language, which I'm trying to keep away from. But yeah, if you did watch it, I hope you enjoyed it. But we're going to look at the bear and how opening the restaurant, what can that teach us? So, few characters. Before it was the beef. There was Mikey, who was actually running the show. Unfortunately, he passed away. So there was Kami, his brother, and he's like, I'm going to reopen the new restaurant. It's going to be the bear. It's going to be much better. We're going to serve brilliant food there. A bit like an agile transformation, smells like. He gets a new chef in the kitchen, Sydney. She has a new perspective. She been to places. She saw some different things. She maybe went for a few courses, maybe watched something online, maybe went to conference. So she has some good ideas. There is Richie. He's a beef's old guard. He's one of those, people who've been somewhere for a very long time and has very certain ways how things should work. There is no need for new people, there is no need for new ways. Everything is fine. Why would we look for something new? There are other few characters, but they are all coming from the beef into the bear. And there is a little shock. So the story goes, Sydney says we should really put the best bacon on earth for everybody. That's what we need to do. This is our aim. We need to have a real goal in place. You start to say to people, you know what? When we use pans, maybe we should wash them. And when you have all the tools somewhere away and you go for a walk to get them, the dish is already burned, so maybe we should bring them closer. And in general, let's keep the place clean. It's a restaurant. And everyone is like, well, what are you talking about? You're a new person. She's just out of her mind. Richie does not like it. There is a lot of F's and buts in between, but I'm just going to skip that. He can't really take that. A new person comes in and tells him how to do things. That's not going to work. Carmi knows that the most difficult thing will be to teach people how to give a sugar about stuff. I skipped the bad word. He knows that it's going to be hard to show people what it could look like in a place that is going through transformation. So he decides to send people on the training. Different restaurants, different places, different locations, all sorts of things, to actually teach them that things can look much better. Richie is sent to training too. a senior manager, kind of a thing, sent to learn some new things. And he's put, first thing to do, he's put on the cleaning forks task. Richie's not happy. He's like, I came here with a big experience and I am cleaning forks. That's just not good enough. So yeah, big opening happens later on when everybody comes back. Everyone comes back, everyone starts to come up with different dishes. They start to understand that, okay, we saw how it could work. It's really good. Let's make new recipes. Let's clean the place. Let's make the big opening really, really good. The day arrives. Everyone is really excited. The orders are flying into the kitchen. There is tension, a bit of a frustration. Things pile up. The flow is broken, nothing happens, and then Kami goes to the fridge to pick something up, and he gets locked in the freezer. Really good if you're hot. Not really good when it's an opening night, it's a big thing, and the CEO is not there to tell and show and do things, right? He is locked in a freezer, and he thinks, this is it. End of the world, I cannot do anything. It's just, well, I have to accept it. We failed. What happens then? People rearrange themselves, they pick up extra tasks, they understand what's in progress, how much they have, orders, they all, work together, collaborate, communicate, and get through stuff, while Carmi is in a freezer, effing, and all sorts of things. And the opening night is beautiful. Everyone is happy, there's a lot of excitement, everyone got their orders, it's a big success, and it's a lot of clapping and all sorts. So how on earth, from the toxic environment, where nobody knew how to work together, the restaurant was not even close to be open when they had an idea, went into something that delivered a very beautiful thing, just in 2 seasons. Third one is coming in June, so peel your eyes for that. I believe there is magic happens. Magic happens usually either with people or people bring that magic in them. You need a common goal. When everybody in a team, in an organization, well, let's start from the team, everyone is pulling to the different direction. And it's like a football. Imagine football game, every single player runs to the different sides of the pitch. It's a chaos. Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody understands what is the goal. We need to be very, very clear. Why are we here? Why people should care? What are we trying to achieve? If one person thinks one thing, another person thinks another thing, don't tell me that you communicated it. We need to really be very, very clear, ask and understand, do we know what is our end goal? Because if we are pulling to the different directions, we're not going to achieve much. What people need is a sense of belonging. There is no them in us. And what I mean by that is, it's always a red flag for me when you have conversations on one-to-one basis with people and all they can keep saying to you is like, they did it, and they decided, and they did not include me, and they just done this and that, and it's just not good enough. Okay, what did you do to change that? Nothing. They just didn't include me. Well, you can speak to people. Nobody tells you that you can't speak to people, right? If we start to say they, them, and we exclude ourselves, we need to start to think, is this place for me? How do I add value? Do I feel like I belong here because I can express my ideas, my thoughts, or I feel like, no, this is not for me because everybody, they are doing whatever they like and they do not listen to me, who has a lot to say, right? We really need to ask that question ourselves. But on the other side of the coin, as an organization, we need to understand, okay, so how can we make that line wider so everybody can feel like they belong? What are we communicating what is acceptable, what is not acceptable? Because if people don't know what is not acceptable, they will going to cross the line. If people are very clear what we are trying to do, why are we doing this, and what is our purpose, and they feel like they can relate to that purpose, they will want to stay inside the line. And this is extremely important because as soon as someone does not feel like they belong, they are halfway out. But they might stay in just to, express how unhappy they are, and that's not good for anybody. Relationships. It's a very interesting thing with relationships. We need to have relationships to be able to work, right? To build relationships, we need to spend time together. To spend time together, to have relationships, then we can start to think about trust. What happens when you join sometimes bigger companies, especially, you are presented with org chart. And it's like, here is org chart, and that's where you are. In that little circle there, your new face there, it's all good. What does that say to people? Okay, so there are all these people above me, and there are some people below me, right? So when you meet, let's say, CEO comes into the kitchen, and you're like, hi, it's my first week, how is it going? You are having that mindset, oh, the CEO entered the room, I need to be in my place, because in the org chart, I'm there, so don't you dare to, be human being with others. Like, you have to listen what CEO has to say. Or you go to other people and you're like, right, I think we need to do like this, like that, and you stop listening because on the org chart, you are much higher. You know more. You're supposed to tell people what to do, right? We build vertical relationships and forgetting that if we want to collaborate and work together, we really need to build horizontal relationships. If you enter the kitchen and Rosie comes in and you say, how was your weekend? So what did you do? How is it going? What is on your mind today? And you forget that Rosie is CEO. You just normally speak to person and touch on just day-to-day basis. There is nothing to do with work or anything like that. This is horizontal relationship. There is this concept of power over or power with. It's very easy to choose power over someone because that's where, you come in and you're like, I know more. I can tell they are not doing this right, so I'm going to power over someone. But when you go power with, you spread, you collaborate, you build good relationships. You have that feeling of belonging. You can actually understand and establish the common goal. Everything gets related. Courage and vulnerability. It's not much courage and vulnerability seen sometimes in workplaces. If you want to have that difficult conversation, because there is a situation now, we are in storming stage, it's horrible, we are doing things wrong, people are not following what we are trying to achieve, you have to have a difficult conversation. But if you're not spending time with anybody, and you are isolated, how you are going to talk to them, how you're going to deliver the message without them being defensive. Because what used to happen in 3D, before pandemic, we used to work in one department, maybe in one floor, maybe even in the same room. You would spend a lot of time together. There is Tuckman's, high-performing team thing going on where you're forming, you're storming, you're norming, you're performing. Everything was sort of much quicker, closer, all the stages, because, things like normal behaviors, human behaviors, would help us to reach that storming stage much quicker because, that annoying colleague that types on a laptop really loudly, or someone, eats crisps and you're like, oh, when are they going to finish this? Like, all that helped us to be like, a bit more loud, a bit more vocal, the storming stage would come much quicker. But now we are virtual. Now we don't spend that much time together. Maybe we have a stand-up a day, maybe we have one-to-one or something, but when do we build relationships? How can we spend enough time to still feel like I can go to that person, send him a message and say, you know what, I have something to tell you, I need to talk to you about something, it's really important to me, and I hope we can manage that. It's not something I want to, be painful about, I just really want to talk to you about. But if we don't build relationships, if we don't spend time together, that becomes very, very difficult. And ways of working. Not the process over people, but imagine organization as a body. Body has key organs. And if one of the key organs stops sort of working, like you have a heart attack, that's a red flag. you need to go to hospital or someone needs to take you to hospital because one of the key organs is not working. So when you think about organization as a body, there are these things that sometimes it's difficult to explain what they are, but all of that builds our culture. The ways we do things, the way we decide, the way we share, the way we spend time together, the way we celebrate failures, wins, all that sort of thing. Sometimes it's difficult to put in words. But if someone especially new comes in and is like, you know what, this is bad, we need to change this and that, because they want to prove themselves, sometimes they can touch those main organs. And if we start to touch those and we go too far, that is a problem. So we do need to innovate. We need to continuously improve, absolutely. But we always forget what works really well and is worth saving. Not everything has to be changed. Sometimes there are key things that actually build the whole company on the top of, and that's culture. That's the way things work. Not process, but some certain key things. That works really well. And we sometimes forget about it, and we just really want to change. We really want to improve, that we can do things. We want to prove ourselves. We touch some key organs that not always should be touched. I hope you all have a Rachel in your organization. You know, really brave self, tries new things, makes a mistake. It's okay, but still does not give up really, and go ahead. There will always be Ross, who will tell you that, you know what, it tastes like feet. It's not nice to hear. Maybe he will be shy to say that to your face, and he will going to say that behind your back. And he'll going to blame you maybe, and, shame you in front of everybody else. But we need to look out for Joey. Joey is open. He will say how he feels. He says what it is. He tries to build the horizontal relationships. He has courage, maybe not first moment, but he builds courage. He builds vulnerability. He tries to speak to people. He tries to build those relationships. It can be really, really hard because we will be the first ones who will gonna blame ourselves and say, I should have done better, I should have known better. And then there will be Ross somewhere saying, yeah, it tastes like feet. And then that's it, right? We need Joey. We need to be Joey for others, and we can't forget that. Exactly, people think that, making progress always has to be going forward. You have to go forward. That's the only way how you make progress. But imagine you decided, you know what, I'm going to run marathon. And you've been training for it, and it's brilliant. The day comes in. There are some supporters or some people in general. You run the marathon 2 kilometers in. You collapse on the floor. And there is a Ross somewhere saying, look at them. They try to run marathon. After 2 kilometers, they're on the floor. And what? Does that define you? No. You ran 2 kilometers. You started somewhere. That's an achievement. It's achievement because you got out of the bed and you said, I'm going to run a marathon. But as well, you got out of the bed and you went to work. You got out of the bed and you went to have a difficult conversation with someone. Sometimes that resilience is much bigger progress than, doesn't matter what, I need to go forward and achieve something, tick the box off, make more features, let's make a feature factory, because we want progress. We need to see progress, and progress can only be seen if something is done, if something is ticked off. That's not the case. We need to consider, as from the keynote, when do we stop? Because if we made a decision that we don't want to do something, that's a progress. Because we decided something, and we're not going after something that we feel like it's not the right thing to do. Where to get key ingredients? So, I get really curious about people who come to the company and all they can tell you is like, this is not how you do things. No. You need Scrum, or safe, or this, or that, and this is how you do stuff. You don't just go and do your own thing. That doesn't work. I'm like, who upset you? What happened? Like, did you have a really bad day? And the worst comes when they keep doing it on a daily basis. And it gets me. It gets me. And my mental health is quite important. But, dealing with these people is very interesting. I was like, so why did you join this company? Because I'm sure when you joined, you went through a few interviews, and people were probably telling you how we do things here, how we work, what we are trying to achieve. So what's going on here? Yeah, I know a lot. Good. Good for you. When you go through the interview process, and you come to an end and they say, do you have any questions? You're like, no, thank you, I'm fine, bye. No. Ask questions at the end, those people who work there. Ask, why do they come to work every day? Ask, what is that company's values, what they are trying to achieve, and then compare how that goes with your values. Maybe you need to do homework before that to understand, what are you trying to achieve? What do you want from life? And I know that, yes, we need jobs, yes, we need to be paid, but is it worth going somewhere that you already know that you will not going to align with and you will not like it, and it's going to be painful for you because you'll have to deal with that on a daily basis, right? So we need to ask those questions before we join company to really gather information to understand if that company is for us. It's two ways. It's not only company looking for people. People are looking for a place to work where they feel they can belong. And they can do something. The team needs to know the goal. What is their goal? What is their purpose? Why they're there as a team. Not individuals, but as a team, what they're trying to achieve. Teams need to understand, so how their work contributes to the vision, to the where is their ticket, that ticket that they're doing, the task that they're doing, how does that go all the way up to the outcome? We need to ask these questions. And if companies don't have answers, that's a big problem. And we need to say that's a big problem. Because we don't know why we are here. Do you know why you're running this company? And this is a valid question, and nobody will going to be, fired because you asked the question. But we need to start to ask these questions. Because if we are quiet and we are doing feature factory and we just do everything somebody tells you to do without understanding why, well, what's the point? Then we are building lots of things that are just not very useful. So it all comes together. Teams are made out of individuals. Organization out of teams. That communication needs to go all the way up and from up down. How to achieve those key ingredients, where to find them, how to find them? My favorite one is one-to-ones. As I said, if we don't spend time together, we can't build relationships. The best thing about one-to-ones is someone says, I have 5 people and I need to put them in a room. I'm going to move your one-to-one because there is no other way to fit this in a calendar. And we forget about it and we don't reschedule. And we just push more and more away. We don't spend time together. We don't speak to each other because one-to-one, it's easy. You just can move it. Yes. And if you don't speak to each other, you don't have relationships, and it becomes really hard to work with each other. Team health check. Yes, we have retros, but I believe that team health check should be done, if not on a weekly basis, at least every 2 weeks, at least. If you're doing like retros every month, at least have team health check. Actually ask people, how are they feeling today? Are they frustrated? Are they happy? Are they positive? Are they negative? What is going on? And as well, let them tell you a post-it note to say, this is on my mind right now, and I don't know what to do with it. I don't know if we need to do something with it, but this is on my mind. Hear them out. Sometimes that all it takes is to let people talk. Create that space. It can be 15 minutes, quick checkup. Well, how are you feeling today? And do you have anything that you don't know how you feel, but you'd like to talk about? Bang, done. People can open up. And it's beautiful because you don't know what's going to come out. Because usually retros, we say, well, mad, glad, sad, because that's all you can feel, right? There is no other feelings. You need to allow people to actually say it, what's inside. and what is painful, because you can act on it quicker. You don't have to wait till retro, because by retro, someone might give you the notice and say, you know what, I had enough, I'm going. And there's nothing you can change about it. So we have that choice, and we can make that choice. I believe feedback, about 3D time, we do need to spend time together in the room. Not to sit down in front of our laptops, but actually get together, do something fun, build team building and all that sort of thing, if possible, where possible, because it's just that you made a joke and then you go offline and it's just so much easier to relate to someone, be like, remember that day when we went out and we played, basketball or something. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be work, but just spending time with people. But feedback. Feedback is really important because it's hard to grow without knowing your blind spots. You cannot see them. You don't know where else you can improve. But as well, asking, what am I doing okay? I must be doing something right. Can you tell me about that too? So when you have that bad day and you overheard Ross saying that it tastes like feet, you can go back to that feedback and be like, but I'm not always doing something wrong. There are good things as well. And people say those good things. And just going through that, it's a pickup that you sometimes need. Because if we are always looking for how else can we do things better, it's exhausting. And we need to stop, reflect, and understand that we are doing things okay. We always can do things better. But let's pat ourselves on the shoulder sometimes, because nobody else might do it. So what opening restaurant teaches us? We will serve the best bacon on earth. If you prefer, lettuce or something else, that's fine. Basically, having a goal. We need to have a goal. If everybody pulls to the different directions, it's extremely difficult to achieve anything apart from closing some tickets. That might not mean much. We are all in this together. We do need to spend time together, even if it's online, even if it's painful, and sometimes it is very painful because other person doesn't really want that. But just, we need to try. We need to get them in. We need to build relationships. Yes, chef. So throughout the whole thing, there was never a name, there was never, head chef, sorry, can you help me? Or you are cleaner, the one that cleaning. Everybody is chef. There is no other way. The horizontal relationships. We are all people. Your role comes in much later. No chef. Having courage and vulnerability to have difficult conversation. You can't run away from it. Otherwise, you can just give your notice and leave. That's the only way how you can really escape the difficult conversation, and you don't have to have it. But that's not the way. We will not change anything if we are not having difficult conversations. We need to get consistent. Not the process over people, but we need something to understand what is okay and what's not okay. What is the high level ways of working that everybody should understand that no, maybe it's not okay to do that because now you're crossing the line. And this is where we are and why we are here. If someone says, no, this is not correct or whatever, if you made a decision, you need to give why you made a decision. You can't just say, I like it. That's not very good. People will be like, well, I like different things. If we made a decision, and we'll sometimes have to make very tough decisions, we need to explain why. And then people will understand a bit better that we just didn't said, I want. There was a reason for that. So, before you enter any room, first of all, you are a person. You're not your role. And roles does not define you. You can help each other. You can pick up extra tasks. We say roles and responsibilities. And you build the wall. That's it. Because you said, this is my role. This is my responsibility. Do not there to help me, right? We are people, not our roles first. And as Adam Grant says, I would say, I'm not here to prove myself. I'm here to improve myself. Or a Brené Brown, I'm not here to be right. I'm here to get right. There is so much that we can learn. And when a person comes into the room and says, you know what? I'm the most experienced here. And I feel very, very sad. Because that means that they have nothing else to learn. And it must be really lonely up there. Because you're just on your own. So, I hope you all can find your key ingredients, and unlock your hidden potential. People are important. Thank you. Thank you, chefs.